No, he didn't.
Has it?
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. I know everybody's filed their taxes, so. Stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any minutes from reports received and filed?
Yes, we have the treasurer's March 2025 reconciliation report.
Okay. Commissioner Committee, liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Well, quarterly reports are also due. MAC legislative day today. Got a Board of Realtors membership meeting. LB and I are going to attend and answer questions about the senior tax freeze or bring new ones back for our meeting this afternoon, which we also have at 2 o'clock today. Campo board meeting Wednesday, Thursday LEPC, Chamber Connections, and I've also got another meeting that afternoon with some other stakeholders. Friday, Solid Waste Management District Council meeting, and Easter Sunday. And that's it.
I have MAC, Missouri Association of Counties, on today, as Jeff mentioned, and that's it.
Tomorrow I am supposed to give a National Guard, Employers for the Guard program for Missouri Chamber. Thursday I've got on my calendar, it's Eastern Commissioner Jeff Helser's birthday. Yeah.
See if I can make another one.
And then I've got a meeting with Governor Keith
Seems like it.
tomorrow afternoon. Friday, the Chamber Leadership Forum. Saturday, Historic City of Jefferson Thomas Lawson Price Program. And then Monday, I am presenting a Department of Defense National Guard Award over at William Woods. So that is all I have. Okay. Any commission comments? Bids and contracts. Bid award for 2025 asphalt overlay program, project number 2025-501-1.
So Matt's out of town at a conference I'm filling in, so Jeff, don't beat up on me too bad.
He already warned me about that.
We opened bids, this was last week Friday, and our annual asphalt overlay and our chip seal programs. And on the asphalt, which is the one we'll do first, Higgins Asphalt Paving was the low bidder at $562,512.13. And the roads we're gonna do are County Park Road, North Teal Bottom, and there's several in the Deer Valley subdivision. Every road in Deer Valley gets done, those are listed there. And then 2 roads in the Natchez Trace area subdivisions of Natchez Trace and La Charette. And if you recall last year, Higgins was red low. We elected not to award it to them. We went with the other contractor. And in this case, they're low again. Having worked with them over the last year on some subdivision streets that are being accepted into the county system. They did a very good job on those, and getting through a few hiccups we had in previous years, we feel like it would be appropriate to award it to them based on their current or their recent performance, and then also based on them being the low bidder. So we do recommend awarding to Higgins Asphalt Paving on this project for that amount, $562,512.13.
I'm fine with it. So we do have a contract here too.
Yeah.
So
I have the contract right here.
awarded and signed the contract then?
Yep.
Okay. Make a motion to award the 2025 asphalt overlay program to Higgins Asphalt and sign the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bid award for 2025 chip seal program, project number 2025-502-1.
So Missouri Petroleum Products Company is the low bidder, and we've done a lot of work with them over the past several years. It seems like they've gotten our bid at least the last 5 or 6 in a row, so very good contractor. The amount is $667,791.15. And we have several roads, or primarily when we do chip seals, we like to group them in areas close together because we get a little bit better price. And so we have a lot down in the kind of the southeast part of the county, in the Eugene type area, Hindley area, so Landing Creek, Deer Run Road, North Teal, South Teal. And then we have some in, or also Upton Railroad and Pitt Road. Those are all in that same grouping, that area. And then we also have in Osage Bend area, we have North Bend Road, East Bend, and South Bend Road. So we recommend award to Missouri Petroleum for $667,791.15.
All right, I'll make a motion to award the chip seal program to Missouri Petroleum and sign the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna go back to the chip seal, or the overlay. That one. So, what did we have budgeted for that? Cause it came in quite a bit under engineer's estimate, so we're gonna sit on that and see what everything else does with our projects, and then, if we have some surplus, then we can look at doing other stuff.
So those two totals add up to about 1.2 million. We're budgeted in the 1.5 million range, but we also add our preventative seal that we do. That's coming maybe, I think, next week or the week after. That is a cooperative bid with Moberly, so we gotta wait for them to sign their contract. And that amount, as calculated, was about 105,000, I wanna say. And so we're, and I actually ran some numbers, so we're 1,335, so that would give us about 165,000 left. And of that money, we also do some of our concrete street replacement projects in there as well. And if there's enough money left, there are some other roads that it wouldn't hurt to add if we could. We always have some that are in waiting, more or less, so if the price is right, and you know, maybe we can group some others with this and do an overrun of a quantity if we needed to.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll wait and see, once we get through all the other things, like the restorative seal, get that done, and see what other concrete projects have to come out of this to see what kind of money we got left.
Yeah, the chip seal was pretty much spot on that engineer's
Yeah.
estimate, and then the other overlay was significantly less, so, I mean, I do appreciate him preparing us for the worst, so. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. New business, accounts payable review.
I'd ask for one more accounts payable pending review.
Motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any unfinished business? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mike Leary-in-law is supposed to be here tonight at 10. We should do the legal first. Mike's get paid by the hour.
Okay.
So I realize we've got 5 minutes or so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that would be walking up the street.
I will,
Is there any time?
I will make a motion pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri. The commission will go into closed session to discuss the following: legal actions under section 610.021 subsection 1 and personnel issues under section 610.021 subsection 3.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Matthew, if you want to come at 2 o'clock this afternoon, hopefully we're going to finalize our seat, the application. Okay, we're gonna go back into open session. And we are working on the Cole County Senior Real Estate Property Tax Freeze Program. And Larry, since you seem to be the spokesman,
He's the leader.
he's our leader.
Scary. She said it, Larry.
I know. She thinks it's scary now, wait till she gets back downstairs. To be honest with you, I didn't print off the application that Melissa just finished, I think this morning, making a few minor changes in it.
This is the actual paper form.
On the front page, we just changed the required to be completed by, or due by July 31st, 2025. That date had July 30th on there. I think it was originally, we had June 30th, and I think it just got changed to July, but didn't correct it till the end of July.
And then there was a typo here, it said
We had-
records office, so I changed it to say recorder's office. I didn't notice that before.
Nobody knows what that is anyway, so.
We're just mud all around today.
Hey, at least
Good thing
you're
you
not
showed
me.
up.
So, yeah, so that's.
I
the-
show no favorites. So this should be, as far as everything goes, this should be the final version. I'm not sure that we wanted, I don't know what the paper intends to do with it, but I'd hate for people to cut it out of the paper if they publish it full size or something and start submitting applications, and we're not ready for that
Yeah.
by
No,
any means.
I had told
So-
Channel 13 that they would be able to print this off of our website at some time and they could fill it out
Yeah.
before they come in, or they can DocuSign it and send it in. So I would assume that when this is ready, it'll be on our website. That's gonna be the best source for people to access it.
To get a copy
print
of it
And that's, so we would
or to
encourage
complete it.
our citizens to go to our website.
I actually completed a sample that Melissa sent to me this morning. It's very user-friendly in my opinion, quick and easy to use. The only thing I didn't do was attach any of the needed attachments to it. Of course, that's gonna include, which people can take a picture with their camera and then attach it that way to the application. So driver's licenses for proof of age, trust, if there's a trust, their paid tax receipt for proof of ownership in most instances. And all of that is going to a very secure site. And then I think Brian needs to probably tell us how that also is gonna interface with the therefore part of the system that hopefully will house all this information to make it accessible for us to complete the applications and the review process. The big,
It'll be their paid 2024 tax.
no. Well, yeah.
Yes.
Because they won't have their 25 yet.
Yeah, so it'll be
Yes,
their paid
2024.
2024.
That's correct.
Yeah, so somebody doesn't just bring in a 2021 or 2022.
Yes, I think we state on the application that taxes, or somewhere in the information that taxes have to be current.
Okay.
Larry, don't you already know that?
If we look it up, yes. Which we'll be able to do if they don't have that information. But to a degree, they need to have some skin in the game, so. But yes, we, at all the workstations, we'll be able to access DevNet's tax inquiry system that should be able to provide us the parcel number unless we can pull directly from that. And I think that is being worked on which again will make the process much easier. I think the main thing we need to do is kind of decide, or one of the main things we need to do is kind of decide how each office is gonna participate. It'd be nice to get a couple employees from each of several offices so we can staff this 3 days a week operating period from 10 to 3, and possibly get 2 people from a couple offices and staff it and rotate them in and out so they're not here the whole time, and do some training on it. I've asked Judy if she'll put something together for information on trust and looking at that information, and, or if we should just need to send those people to her office to determine if the trust is in the property owner's name, because if it's not a age 62 or older person that's the property owner and named on the trust, then they wouldn't qualify. For instance, if they had their children named in the trust or as the trust, they wouldn't qualify because their children aren't of age. I did find out yesterday at the MAC board meeting that any new levies passed are not included in the tax freeze. So if there's any, for instance, a fire district or a school district passes a levy, that would raise the amount of taxes that they're paying. The frozen amount is gonna be on whatever it is. For the taxes existed at the time it was frozen. So any new taxes would be in addition to what is frozen.
The value is frozen, but a new tax levy is additional tax for that homeowner to pay.
Well,
All right.
my understanding is assessed values are not frozen, that the tax liability is frozen,
Well, if the tax liability is frozen,
unless a new levy is added to it.
well, okay, unless. All right.
The-
It's a
the-
freeze, it's not a freeze.
Yeah, the state is requiring us to show on the tax bills the full assessed value. So that's never getting frozen.
But you are calculating, you're gonna tell a school district how much they're not getting. So you have to-
Dollar-wise,
Dollar-wise, correct?
yes.
You're gonna tell a taxing jurisdiction, we're shorting our distribution to you by X thousand dollars. And to get to that number, you have to know what the frozen value is versus the new.
We need to know the frozen dollar amount.
Of taxes, not of assessment.
Yes. The difference is gonna be what the new assessed value would generate
Right.
based to the old tax bill. Other than the items that are excluded, which is the blind pension fund and debt service
Except for new construction.
and new construction and, yeah, additions to houses and improvements and betterments. It isn't an easy,
No, it's not. What happens when one of the bedrooms burns off the side of the house and the value goes down?
well, I don't have an answer for that, because
Don't apply that year. I don't know, there's gonna be some.
I think if the
instances
value
in
goes
there-
down as enough that it's gonna lower their taxes, obviously, they would pay lower taxes based on that. I don't think we can charge them based on the frozen tax liability if the assessed value is reduced. But I don't know,
Agreed,
I'm,
agreed, but that's one more reason why the freeze is not a freeze, in
yes.
some cases.
And I think there's some stuff being passed this year to affect it, address some things, and I think for several years, we'll see changes to the statute that tries to clarify things, because again, it was poorly written the first time it passed, and Senator Luetkemeyer would only allow the changes he would allow last year when some changes were made. So now there's some changes being proposed again this year. I think it's really an evolving program.
That's kind of what I explained to Jim 13, that for right now, it is what it is, but it's gonna be ever changing. 140, you're gonna have 114 different applications in each county too. Well, kind of city, yeah.
There are a large number of counties that have not started the process yet, and especially smaller counties that don't have the financial means to implement something like this.
Yep.
So, Brian, do you want to kind of explain did you have something you were going to show us on there for, or I don't know if Melissa
Well,
has
I
something?
think
or-
Melinda's,
or-
sorry. Melinda's my wife. I think Melissa,
I'm not your wife.
I think Melissa was gonna go over the DocuSign process, and then I was gonna talk about the back end work.
Yeah, so you want me
We
to
know you're all
show
about the
you,
back end work.
A run through of the online form?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so when they click the link, this comes up. And I just put some basic information about, it's basically some of the stuff that's on the website. So then you would, and that just goes back to our webpage. So you just begin the application. I'm just putting my fake first lady in there. Let's see, where to go? Just for a run through. Okay, so then it asks if your attorney in fact or personal representative. I'm just gonna say yes, so you see what happens. So then the attorney in fact would just put their name in here.
Nice.
And that will feed the print, attorney in fact print name. Ownership type, I'm gonna choose other entity, so you can see that if you choose other entity, it'll show the attachment for that. If you don't say other entity, it doesn't show you a place to attach that. Yes, and yes. And then I also noted here, if you answered no to either of those two questions, that you do not qualify for the credit.
So other entity would be a trust? Is that what you're saying?
It's like I think, you guys will have to help me clarify that. Is that like an operator's?
LLC or something like that.
Yeah.
But a trust is what that would be, right? Trust
I
LLC.
don't think a trust would be another entity.
That would be sole or joint?
Ours is just Samuel and Linda Bushman, trustees.
Like an individual.
What ours is.
Okay, so.
What else would be other, anything?
So then, these are just all the fields that were on the thing, these are all
Not sure off the
required.
top of my head. Could be a partnership.
You go next, and then it gives you a summary of what you just typed in.
Okay, Harry.
And then you go next, and this is gonna
Cartoons, you watch the
generate
cartoons.
the actual document that you sign. It's basically you're agreeing that you're gonna use electronic signature, you'll continue, and so it filled in everything that I just typed in. And since I hit other entity, it's giving me this attachment, so I can go in here and click it, upload a file. I have here is, let's see, I just did some documents. Where's my, obviously this one. So, filled all those in, so I just go to each one of these. Proof of identity, I've got a driver's license sample. Proof of residency. I'll just do the driver's license again. Proof of ownership. Ownership. Done. I read my certification. Understand that I may be charged with a misdemeanor. Okay, so since I filled out the attorney in fact, it's showing me this attachment for that. So I have to upload proof that I am able to be that person's representative. I'm just gonna do the sample doc here. Done. And then I just go here and I'm just going to accept and sign. And I can change the style or whatever, but I think most people will just hit that. There's my signature. And then here's all the documents that I attached.
You look different.
Okay, and so then when I hit finish, it sends them an email, says thank you for, thank you, please allow 30 days for, I'm not gonna do it because I don't wanna use up our envelopes, but basically is a thank you and kind of tells them it could be 30 days before they hear from us, basically, and I can send you guys the verb.
It says it on the back of the app, allow 30 days for processing or something like that.
So then we will send them, it's kind of a
This is
notification.
what they'll get
Okay.
in their email, and now it does say, I am gonna have to check with them on this, it says, if you did not DocuSign with Melissa Johnson, I'm about to see if I can find out. I think I can change in my DocuSign profile for that to say Cole County, because nobody's gonna know who Melissa Johnson is, so.
Okay.
They will after this.
Well, I think that was the only, I had this, I think it was the completed packet that I did earlier.
Spits out the letter.
That we would get and via email, but, this is going to work with, therefore, so once it gets sent to our, senior tax raise at cococounty.org or whatever, wherever we have it sent to, therefore is gonna go through and sweep that email address and pull all those into their form. So this is the finished application packet, the envelope, basically, that we will get. So,
Looks great, Melissa.
Mhm.
so that's that.
And then once the collector's office enters the information into the DevNet system, it produces either the acceptance letter or the denial letter that we'll send out.
You have any questions about that? Look all right, look easy enough to use, you think?
Yep.
So you can't,
Great, thought it looked great.
if you don't have those attachments, it's not gonna accept your application.
No, all those attachments, except for the attorney impact, since that's not really a, required field, but it does say on there that they need to add that, so, I mean, hopefully they'll read that.
Sure.
And I also put it where they, had the signature, I believe I added that verbiage under that particular part.
Now, they can still print out an application from the website.
Yeah, we'll have two links. We'll have a link to the paper website that they can download and print off and fill out, or they'll have the online option that they'll fill out completely online.
So that way, if they don't know how to do the attachments or want to do the attachments, they can fill out, then the application's still pretty short and simple. Fill it out, bring their attachments in to us, and we'll scan them in here when doing the process
So
here.
they can manually fill one out, or they can fill it out, hit print, and then bring it in,
Yep.
right?
I'm not.
Oh, they
not-
can't fill out the PDF online. They can print it out and fill it out.
Hand fill it
They
out.
can fill it out.
Yeah.
It's not a fillable form.
Oh, man.
I think the intention of this online application is they don't have to come in,
With the DocuSign.
period, if they use the DocuSign.
They're basically
Well,
filling
if
it
you
out.
got bad
online.
handwriting and you wanna fill it in and print it out and bring it in.
You got
But it's
bad
basically,
handwriting.
you're
You can do
basically
that.
filling it out like that on DocuSign, like, except for you just got an easier interface to walk you through all the questions.
So you're saying I can print that and bring it in?
Or mail it in?
The DocuSign?
You can't print that out after you filled it out
So,
online,
no,
you
you
submit
can't.
it, online. We don't have a fillable PDF, a separate fillable PDF
So
form.
you won't be able to print it out, but you can submit it. Will that allow you to print what you submitted?
That is a good question, I can ask them if that is.
'Cause, yeah, you won't need to
if
print
They
it.
can print the envelope.
But what if you're submitting it, you don't have your documents downloaded necessarily because you don't know what you're doing, so you wanna print it off and
Well, I mean,
bring it in?
I got on there that they need to make sure that they have all their documents before they start the application.
You're gonna wanna let them print it and keep their own printed copy of what they're submitting.
I can find out, how.
Or can they save it to their desktop and then print it from there?
They don't, they may be able to print that one page out. I'll have to find out about that.
Can't you go in and fill PDFs out somehow?
There are fillable PDFs, but they can be, problematic on different web browsers, different websites. That's why they don't recommend using PDFs, because sometimes things don't work the way that they're supposed to, depending on the browser, and there are different issues with it.
Melissa, they can mail it in as well, right? Print it out, make copies of their, whatever they need to and attach.
There's, an address on here
Okay.
where to
Let's see
mail
what
it.
I'm doing, something like that.
Cole County Collector
Yeah.
Revenue Tax Freeze Program, 311 East High Street, room 100, Jeff City.
Yep, yep.
And then this is the link, one of the links to the it's also under how do I. And so I'll have the links here to the form and the, website, the online and the paper downloadable form. That's all I have.
You're up.
So, so my part of it is that we have a digital document storage system that's gonna ingest all the applications, whether they're brought in and manually entered or whether they're did through DocuSign. So we went through and we purchased a product that allows us to do a wizard that actually ingests these particular forms and then reads in particular parts of it, populates the different fields, and then works it through what's called a workflow for the collector's office to go ahead and make sure and do like a quality control, make sure everything is correct. And then they go through like an approval process, and then it automatically stores that document. The second part of it is that we're gonna create a connector that allows the one system to talk to the other system, so it can pre-populate like parcel IDs, names, and so forth, things like that. So, and then if you can imagine this, if we have like the public that comes in that wants to turn in their application, there's gonna be a staff here that's gonna be there to help them get that done. And then once that's finished, they're actually gonna scan in that application and digitize it. And so we're thinking that that's gonna save a lot of time when it comes to the processing part. And also, it'll help with the staffing. So.
That cost is being covered by my tax maintenance fund.
Thank you, sir.
Because Brian says you all are too tight.
You might be embellishing there a little bit, Mr. Collector. I do work for them.
We're thrifty.
Still Cook County money, so.
Oh, thrifty.
Be nice, Larry.
That'd be something new and different.
Yeah, it's not worth really trying.
Anyway, that's really, I mean, my part of it's kind of the unseen part of it, because it goes through and does a lot of that processing automatically. That's a nice part I like about, I was thinking about your comments on the fillable PDF, and, if they go through the link, it's a measure of quality control there, because that way it ensures that all the fields are filled out, and things like that, because if they try to go past a field that's required, it says, it stops you. And so I think you're right. I think she'll be able to produce, I do think you'll be able to produce a printed off copy too, so, yeah. That's why we kind of went down the digital signature, plus you can sign it online and stuff like that, so.
If someone says, I submitted an application, but I forgot one document, is it searchable, so we can add?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, so.
by last name, first name, or?
Yes, yeah, so.
Parcel?
Yeah, I think we've got parcel ID, we have last name, first name, so and plus, within the system, it's going to show you that document is missing too, so anyway, that's part of that quality control process.
If they hand submitted an application you're talking about, not an online.
I meant
application.
online, searchable online.
The online application won't let you submit it unless you have everything on it.
Okay, so
Yes.
it will stop you and
It
you'll
will
have to
stop.
need
If
something.
those,
Okay.
like if those attachments for, proof of age, proof of,
Okay.
residence, and proof of, ownership.
then you
If they
can't apply
haven't
it.
uploaded
Okay.
a document, then it's not gonna let them go any further.
So
I
it
mean,
knows
they-
if it's the right document or not? What if I
I mean,
accidentally
I-
hit my application for my 25-cent coffee at McDonald's instead of my
Well,
senior tax freeze?
Then when the
Reject it.
staff goes through and does those applications, they'll have to either contact that person and say, we don't have the information, or when
What if I realize that I put the wrong one on there?
Denied.
they'll have to
I
contact,
know where you get coffee for
they'll have
25
to
cents.
contact us at
Okay. So-
seniortaxfreeze@colecounty.org and say, I forgot to do this, or I attached the wrong document, and then we'll have to
Plus,
deal with it that way.
What if I started over and just did it again? Is that gonna stop me from doing it?
I could see that happening.
Yeah, we will see
Especially if
that
it was
that's,
me.
I mean, we will see that there's two.
I think I'm bad now in 8 more years.
I think that's common, that's gonna be a common.
Go for it.
Well, we'll see if there's two with the same parcel number or the same name,
And see if it accepts it.
That will be in the vetting part, you know, of us looking at that parcel number
Okay,
and
quality
then
control.
seeing that that's already been done, so, I mean, that's just part of doing the processing.
Okay.
There's no way to 100% like know everything that's gonna be.
She can't do it twice, Jeff.
I think you can. It's just gonna have to get caught.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's just part of the process.
Yeah, it was
That's why
like-
we're gonna have so many
Yeah,
staff members are gonna be looking at that, and, you know, there's checks and balances that we have to go through when we go through these applications. And that's part of the thing, you can't, I don't think you can have a perfect system, especially not as quickly as we put this together. But I think everything will be caught during the processing. As many people are gonna be looking at it, and then, like I said, we have different places we're entering the data that isn't gonna let us pass to, you know, applications out of the same place, so.
We'll need to create a list of acceptable documents for each thing that has to be approved so that anybody that's reviewing them will know that that's gonna work or it's not gonna work.
And I would assume if staff has a question, or isn't sure about something, they can talk to another staff that's doing the same thing and kind of, or you and Judy or whoever, and verify that that is in fact good or not good.
Trying to make it as easy and streamlined as we can, so.
it's very nice, Melissa, great job.
Any other questions?
John's got one.
Like your required fields, like if somebody doesn't have an email, and I can see a lot of older people possibly not being email, then they cannot do it online, they would have to come here.
That's right, if they don't have an email address, they can't do the online version, but I would think they would be able to do the, paper version, but I can't imagine, if you're doing it online, I can't imagine that you would not have an email address, but I can see if you're doing a paper form, then I don't know that is that would be required for a paper, somebody walking in doing a paper form. Not everybody has an email address.
I can see a child helping an older parent fill it out online. And obviously, they would just use their
Yeah.
child's email address.
Yeah.
Is that legitimate though, when you sign your guarantee that this is accurate to the best of my knowledge? You know, it's not a legitimate email address, to create a perjury.
I think we put on the electronic form, I think we put responsible party email address on there. But, yeah,
Then,
we could just put on there,
Well, we send your child to jail for perjury instead of you.
somebody better call my mom about her taxes down.
but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate a little bit
Yeah.
for ideas that And then like you were talking about assessment, I don't understand if your assessment is froze, that assessment shouldn't change, just your different tax rates for the different entities would change. Like you were saying, he says that the assessment can vary, that don't make sense to me.
Well, if you add a bedroom onto the house,
That's
it's
different.
gonna change.
That's different.
It changes, and I understand that person's tax is gonna go up. If they remodel, if they added a bedroom, that's new construction.
Correct.
That's gonna get taxed, that can't be frozen because it wasn't there to start with, so.
Correct. But then once it's assessed and you haven't made any material changes, then that rate, that assessment number would be into perpetuity. If they needed more money, then you'd have a reassessment by dollar amount applied towards the assessment.
I don't,
Listen, the assessor is still have to go out and reassess every 2 years. Now, it might not show up on the tax bill that you're looking
Correct.
at, but it has to be reassessed every 2 years. That's state law, that hasn't changed.
Correct, but the dollar amount that the tax will be applied will be the locked-in assessment if you had made no material changes to the property.
But Larry says if the voters approve a new levy,
That's the dollar amount, that shouldn't change your assessment value, that's just what the tax rate is gonna be.
We set the tax rate each year though. And if we raise it and your property stays the same assessed value, your property tax is still frozen.
Correct.
Right, Larry?
Correct.
That's the way I'm understanding.
But in the earlier discussion, it seemed like your assessed value would change for whatever reason. Now, I understand any new material changes to it. If you didn't do anything to your property, then that locked-in assessed value shouldn't change.
that's not
It
the case. Here's the deal. The state uses assessed value for a hell of a lot more things than real estate property taxes. They want the accurate assessed value every year. That's why they're freezing the tax liability, not the assessed value.
there are some second-class counties that are very close to becoming first-class counties. And whenever the assessed valuation of the county makes that next threshold, they automatically become a first-class county. So those assessed values are not freezing for all purposes. They might be, in a sense, frozen for that homeowner for his taxes, but the county can still grow in value and move from a third-class county to a second-class county, from a second-class county to a first-class county.
I understand, but the applied tax rate, which is the dollar amount per $100 assessed valuation, that tax dollar rate could change, but your assessed value that you're taxed on shouldn't change. Now, you may say the assessed value is X above that, but for the seniors, that dollar amount valuation should only be applied to the locked-in assessed value.
As I understand, your tax bill is gonna show what the assessed value is tax-wise, what the taxes it generates, less the credit based on what you paid in 2025, and what your net payable taxes is gonna be. So you're gonna see what your taxes would be if it wasn't froze. Your tax bill will show that, then it'll show the credit based on what you paid in 2025. And then it'll show what you're gonna pay, your net payable is gonna be for your taxes. So it isn't gonna show any freezing in the assessed value or.
And Larry, if you captured every resident who is in the Blair Oaks School District and added up that difference there, you're gonna tell Blair Oaks, I'm not sending you what I would have sent if the law hadn't changed. I'm sending you this lower number, and this senior citizens tax freeze cost your school district this much money.
Correct. I understand it the same way you do.
And you have to report it to
All the taxing entities.
Yeah, all the taxing entities, the library, the fire districts, the schools, Cole County Residential Services, so on and so
Cole County General Revenue Fund,
Yes, and the Road and Bridge Fund.
Road and Bridge Fund.
But I still think this is a good deal, because there's gonna be so many places that are gonna end up turning into California, where you gotta sell your property because you can't afford taxes on it. So I actually am behind this legislation to halfway freeze assessed value on people's property, so we don't California-ize the state of Missouri, where somebody's lived in their house for 60 years and they say it's worth $3 million, which is a postulated valuation on an unrealized capital gain. I kind of understand where you're going, and I think there is going to be some learning curve.
For all of us.
This is just a little nit on the side, I mentioned it the last, maybe meeting or two ago, and that's the folks that died. And they file their application, and then they die. How do you know? Well, the county clerk can tell you. For instance, the county clerk removed 19 voters from the voter rolls in the month of March. 19 people are deceased that were registered voters. One of them was 63, one of them was 64, and the other 17 were, older than that. But every one of these are potentially applicants. And if it's 19 a month or 20 a month, that's 240 a year. Some of those people will have or will apply for this. And I think that as the clerk cleans his tax rolls, you may have to clean your applicant rolls. And then again, one person dying may not knock them all out, but it may. And maybe they're sole winners.
Well, I don't know, that's something we'll have to look at, because Missouri statutes say on January 1st, taxes are fully earned. They're just not payable until December 31st.
Okay, but are you gonna make them renew that every year?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if somebody dies in March, if that takes that property out of the senior tax freeze or not, based on the premise that taxes are fully earned on January 1st of each year.
If it's sold or transferred, it might.
It would if it was sold or transferred.
So.
It would be prorated then. And I think part of our renewal application process, only one person is required to sign to get in the program. But I think part of our renewal application process would be for a co-applicant to also sign. That way, if, in the case where you have an older and a younger spouse, and it was 5 years later, and they were both of age then, and one of them passed away, the one that's the survivor wouldn't have to reapply. They would just carry on. So. I mean, as far as the collector's side goes, I mean, the collectors are learning something new about this almost weekly, you know, as other counties bring it on and look at it and look at what best practices are, and get advice from their legal counsel and things of that nature. We're trying to make it a more reasonable and easy to follow program, and one that is not so difficult on taxpayers.
The main question I've had is somebody, and they're 62, their wife's 58, so they said, can I still apply? Yes.
Yes, only one
But
has
if
to be of age.
Yes, but if that person dies next year, then his wife won't be eligible until she turns.
Until she turns 62.
Yeah.
And she would have to apply then.
Yeah.
So in that last instance you were talking about,
I'm saying 5 years down the road and they're both of age,
Yeah.
and he dies or she dies, the other one just automatically, the program just continues on for them.
they
Their
wouldn't
base year is
change their
still,
base year?
no.
I'm
Unless
fine
you
with
tell me
that. I'm just-
otherwise.
I'm fine with it, I'm just asking because was that where you were going with that?
Well, I know.
It's not a new applicant. You wouldn't change it, it's not a new one.
So, yeah, do you have to start over at your base year if you've been doing it the whole time, but? Just gonna have to keep your spouse alive, the way I see it. You know, I'm worth more alive than I am dead, by golly. It's good TV here, right?
Well, we'll have a lot of questions as we get into this, we'll have a lot of questions.
Don't die.
Don't die.
Life is a terminal illness.
Okay,
So do we need to approve anything today as far as the application, or is it still,
Do you think, having said that about the email address, I'm thinking maybe on the application it says phone number, and actually it should probably say, I don't know, phone numbers and email address. Maybe I should just put on the online version of the form above that, like a heading of contact information, so that we may.
so why does it have to be
with
Well,
a
questions.
certain address?
okay, an email, if somebody puts no email, is that gonna kick them out because they don't have an
It is required in online.
online, but I mean, if they come
Obviously, if
in,
you're filling
if
it,
they come in,
it's not required if
Okay.
you come in. yeah.
okay,
It's-
so-
It is online, because we
Okay.
have to have a way to
yeah,
send them.
okay. Well, if there's anything online, they have an email.
They have an email.
Somebody's got an email.
Exactly.
So, but otherwise, if they come in here and I say, I wanna fill this out, and they go, we don't have an email,
Yeah, I would
that's,
think
that's
that-
not that doesn't,
I would think they would need to have, at least have a phone number so we could contact them if there's a question.
yeah, you've got
about their
two phone numbers,
application. Yeah.
two phone numbers here, so you
Yeah.
give you a home and a cell phone if they have, some people maybe don't have a cell phone, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's, but they
I
don't
think it'd be-
have to have.
I
an
think it'd be
Or they
good to
could
put
be-
contact information.
email.
Yeah, just have it listed as this is contact, because it's below like the mailing address, so maybe just then put contact information on the online one.
Yeah, if they
I don't
ask
think
us.
we need to put it on this paper form, but do we? I mean,
Yeah,
No.
if you don't have an email, come in, damn it.
Well, I'm gonna come in anyhow. I don't know about you.
I
Doesn't
figure-
matter
I figure
whose email
most-
you use.
I figure most people would wanna come in.
Why can't my mom and dad use my email address?
yeah, I mean, I think as long as, if they're doing it online, I don't know why, we can just, I can put a little note next to the email address on the online form saying, so this is so that we can contact you with questions or whatever, but I think most of the time we'll probably be calling people or mailing them something, would be my guess, but I think we're still working out that whole part, so.
If the return address that they give you is different than the residence address, and let's say it's Marco Island, Florida, the return address, are you doing anything different?
Well, I think we're gonna look at their voter registration to see where their voter registration is. I mean, we wanna verify everything. Obviously, if it's gonna be a good program, there's gotta be some safeguards to it.
I bought us about 10 minutes, so.
I don't know if anybody has any other questions.
He's got a few more holes. I don't want to
We'll
hold them
have-
guys
we'll have-
up.
we'll have
I need some air in
questions
here.
as
It's
they
stuffy
come
right
in.
now.
And,
Yeah, you've just given them an excuse to be another week late on completing the project.
About 2 weeks. When's this gonna be done? About 2 weeks.
I'd say we're good, let's just, whatever you wanna put it on our website and just say May 7th is our first day.
We haven't
To
talked
accept
about that,
them.
but I don't know.
I would suggest you do something that taxing authorities do. Whenever they publish a form, down in the lower right-hand corner or somewhere, they put brackets and they put a date. That's the date of that form. And
That's a good
when
idea.
you do the form, you put a later date, and you using the right date on this form.
Yeah, I created a Word document so we can more easily update this, so I think there's, well, I know there's something in Word that.
Timestamp.
The timestamp.
You can put
of
a
when that
timestamp on the
document was
document.
last.
Yeah, be good to have that on there.
Well, and for what's published in the paper, should we release a watermarked copy to them that just says sample across the center of it so
I
that
think
someone,
we decided we weren't gonna put it in the paper yet, right?
not yet?
Matthew just asked, but if we, as soon as we put it on the website, then he can print it off. But May 7th is our date when we start, and it will be Wednesday, Thursdays, Fridays,
From
10
10 to
a.m.
3.
to 3 p.m. until July 30th,
In this room.
As long as.
in this room.
As long as we have sufficient people coming in.
Well, I think
Gonna
we
do a
will
Google
have,
Calendar or
once-
something
once
that we can sign
we-
up on?
We did it at county.
start accepting, we will have people coming in, right?
Well, like I said, I was at a meeting with some guys before I came up here, and this topic is being discussed quite a bit.
Yeah, I think May 7th, we better have a few extra people here.
What about the library helping out? Can they do that or not?
I don't think so.
Just keep it
I mean,
county.
we're in
So they advertise that they
proprietary
didn't fill out
programs here
forms.
that we don't want other people messing with us.
That's fine. I just-
No, the library does advertise that to help you fill out forms and stuff, so on
Oh,
days that
yeah, if
they
they
can't
take,
necessarily come
yeah,
out
if they take a
here,
paper
they-
copy in and.
Yeah,
If they wanna go to the
Library
library
and
and
get
see
help.
if they'll help.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring the paper copy in and I'm here, you can, I'll be filled out. I
We
don't
can't
care.
even read your writing, Jeff.
Hey, take what you can get, man.
And all of the required documents, you had to have like your driver's license with your date on it, and then you had to have the property that you're wanting to be in this program.
Has to be your primary residence.
But those are the only two.
And your 2024 tax receipt,
Well, that tax receipt is the proof that you were,
yes.
This right here are the required documents,
Proof.
the basic required documents, unless you're.
proof of identity, proof of Missouri residency, and proof of ownership.
So paid tax receipt is one of the proof of ownerships on there. Proof of residency could be a voter registration card or driver's license, other ID. Proof of age could be passport, birth certificate, or driver's license.
So the first two can just be done with your driver's license. Proof of ownership would be the tax bill, so you really, if it's not in a trust or something, you really just need two documents, your driver's license and your paid receipt. And we can provide the paid receipt, that information if you don't have it.
And then the ownership type, if it's other entity, you'll need to attach that trust agreement or operating agreement or whatever, that document might be. And then if you're signing for, or if you're filling out the application for somebody, then you'll need to have your additional documents to show you're qualified, like your power of attorney, operating agreement, trust agreement, to show that you are able to fill out this form for that applicant that can't fill it out.
Okay.
And that applicant that has a personal representative or power of attorney, whatever, they still have to occupy the home to get the credit.
The owners, so they can't be in a nursing home.
No, they cannot be in a nursing home.
Yeah.
On that, under the entity bill, it says to attach trust, but if you're in a joint trust account, you can be marking the first box, so it doesn't say for an individual joint to attach a trust, only if it's other entity, but if you fall under the joint and have a trust, where does that fall? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Be the same, it'd be the same, I
You
would
need to
think,
provide the trust.
because you're gonna,
Okay. Well, it says of other entities selected attached trust, but to me, it's not an other entity, it's a joint account, it's a joint ownership.
Well, a trust is not the same as an individual or joint. Maybe that should, what I see as joint there is husband and wife, individual or husband and wife.
That's how the trust is, husband and wife only.
But it's a trust.
A trust.
Okay.
My property is not in a trust, it's in Trish and my name. She doesn't trust me.
And wouldn't it vary by trust? I mean, there's all sorts of different types of trusts.
Well, that's why we need to see it, so we can try to determine
The
qualifications, and hopefully Judy's gonna
You
give
have
us all
your-
some
Yeah,
knowledge.
well,
on
we
that.
did create a form when you asked that. I do have a form, which we'll show you. And
Okay.
then, we also have laptops. We thought it might be easier to look it up.
That could be.
Sometimes those take a little bit of time to search.
We'll just have to decide how we wanna do that process, but
Yeah, because I didn't know if you wanted us up here, if you're gonna be having folks here, or if you wanted to send them down, just figure out which would be the best.
So just to be clear, going back to Dawn's question, if it's a joint trust, they check other entity. They do not check individual/joint, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Trust is other, no matter what kind of trust.
Yeah, 'cause ours is a simple trust, but the legal document itself is probably that thick.
Right.
And I'm not gonna bring that in. Ours, everything is Sam and Linda in our trust, and it's, the cars are in that, but I can sell them if I want, I can do whatever I don't. So-
Most of the documentation we see, we don't see the trust,
Yeah.
that's usually confidential. What we
Yeah.
see is a document stating that it's in a trust,
Yeah,
which shows ownership.
yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll read that if other entity attached trust agreement and assume that
That's the
They
We're
need to
just- we're
check
just
that other
trustees
entity.
anyway. Do we need to meet with Eric after this? Okay. He's waiting. Yeah.
Are we gonna have like a training session?
Yes,
Good, thank you. And then will you guys, like the first couple of days, have someone up here to answer, answer questions that we may have until.
unfortunately.
This fall,
Otherwise-
single point of accountability.
Line up downstairs.
10 minutes is up.
Okay.
So this is, there's no intended revisions to this document. This is it. This is your official document between now and May 7th.
I hope so.
Maybe.
I hope so.
Because I was gonna get a copy of it right now and take it
No.
with me. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I don't think we're wanting to release it
Yeah, we're not
yet,
gonna release it until
just in
May
case.
7th.
But yeah, I don't think we intend on making any changes. That's kind of what this meeting was today, to try to hopefully finalize it. Are we gonna put it out there on the website
Before,
before May 7th? They're gonna have to wait till May
I don't think we should put it on
7th.
there until the day that they can fill it out.
Mhm.
I
I agree.
don't recommend
So
doing
what if
that.
I wanted it on Monday so I can fill it out and be the first one online Wednesday?
Too bad.
Sorry.
You go to your all's homepage, and then show me how you get there, because a lot of times, there's a lot of information on the webpage if you know how to navigate and find it. And that's the issue that a lot of people have, well, I know it's there, but I can't navigate.
Right there.
So there's our webpage, and so I made this link right here on the
Okay.
homepage so that hopefully it will stand up. So that's gonna be the
So just colecounty.org.
colecounty.org,
I'm gonna
and
stick
it's
it out here. You
just
guys
right
can
there on the
recess
homepage.
whenever you want to.
The other way you can get to it is to go here to how do I apply for and senior tax property free. Property tax free. There's the other way you can do it. People can also, they should be able to search here. They should be able to just use the search too. So there's several ways they can find it there.
That's good, yep.
Are we done? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn and stand in recess until 4:30.
Second.
All
Aye.
in favor? Aye, aye.
So, y'all don't have to leave, you can sit here and keep talking. This is not an official meeting anymore, because it's only got me.
Brian,
Only
did
got
you
you.
say you had a calendar made up?
Uh-huh.
How do we